The rain lashed against the cracked windows of the tiny apartment as Angela Whitmore clutched the eviction notice in her hands. It was a single sheet of paper, but to her it weighed a ton. The date was marked tomorrow, and her heart raced with the imminent threat of homelessness looming over her and her son, Jamie. She was a single mother, scraping by on a waitress's salary, and the thought of losing the roof over their heads sent icy tendrils of panic spiraling through her mind. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Jamie's small voice cut through her thoughts, his innocent eyes wide with concern. At just 8 years old, he already bore witness to too much hardship. Angela forced a smile, bending down to ruffle his blonde hair. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just a little work issue," she lied, masking the turmoil within her. But deep down, she felt the pressure mounting. The bills were piling up higher than ever, and she had no idea how to save them from being tossed onto the streets like yesterday's trash. Her thoughts briefly wandered to her late father, a man who had always encouraged her to fight against the odds. If only he were here now to guide her through this mess. "Hey, why don't we go look through that old box in the basement?" Jamie suggested, his eyes sparkling with the prospect of adventure. They hadn't explored the dusty corners of their new home since moving in months ago, and although Angela had other priorities, she could never deny her son the joy of discovery. "All right, but just for a little while," she replied, and together they trudged down the narrow staircase leading to the damp, musty basement. The walls were lined with cobwebs, and each creak of the floorboards felt like an intrusion into forgotten secrets. The faint smell of mildew filled the air, and a shiver ran down Angela's spine. As they reached the bottom, Jamie's small hand grasped hers tightly. "Is it scary down here, Mum?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Angela knelt to his level, forcing confidence into her voice. "No, love, just old. Nothing to be afraid of." The basement was cluttered with boxes from previous tenants. Old furniture, forgotten mementos, and a thick layer of dust coating everything. Angela began sifting through the contents, tossing aside a moth-eaten blanket and a broken lamp. Then, Jamie squealed in delight, discovering a rusted key hidden beneath an old shoe. "Look, Mum, what do you think it opens?" he beamed, holding it up as if it were a treasure. Angela examined the key, its intricate design catching the dim light. "I don't know, but let's keep looking." After several minutes, Angela's fingers brushed against a trapdoor at the far end of the basement, half hidden beneath a pile of faded boxes. The hinges were rusty, and the wood creaked ominously as she pushed it open, revealing a dark, narrow staircase leading down even further. A sudden chill enveloped them, and for a moment, Angela hesitated. "Jamie, I think we should head back. It's getting late," she said, her instincts flaring. "No. Please, Mum, let's see what's down there," Jamie pleaded, his adventurous spirit outweighing her caution. With a deep breath, she reluctantly agreed, knowing how easily he could twist her heartstrings. As they descended the stairs, the air grew colder, thick with the weight of forgotten memories. When they reached the bottom, the room opened up to reveal a hidden speakeasy from the 1920s. Tables were set as if awaiting patrons, and the walls were lined with dusty bottles that had long since lost their labels. Angela's mouth fell agape. This was something truly unexpected. "What is this place?" Jamie whispered, engrossed in the hidden world surrounding them. Angela stepped further inside, glancing at the decaying bar, its once glorious mahogany surface now covered in dust. She ran her fingertips over the surface, feeling the grooves of history beneath her touch. Then, as she moved towards a shadowy corner, something caught her eye, a sturdy safe, partially obscured by a tattered curtain. Heart pounding, she approached it, the rusted mechanism glinting with intrigue. "Look, Jamie, a safe," Angela exclaimed, excitement and dread mingling in her chest. Could this be a way to solve their financial woes? As her fingers danced over the combination lock, She noticed an odd series of numbers etched into the metal. July 14th, 22. What do you think is inside? Jamie asked, his eyes wide with anticipation. I'm not sure, but let's find out, Angela replied, her heart racing as she turned the dial. She spun the lock slowly, remembering the times her father had taught her the importance of patience and precision. The final click echoed in the silence, and with a metallic groan, the door swung open. Inside, a trove of bonds glimmered in the dim light, the titles and figures amounting to an astonishing total of $345 million. Angela gasped, her breath hitching in her throat as she struggled to comprehend the reality of what lay before her. This could change everything. But as the weight of her discovery settled in, a shadow flickered at the edge of her vision. Her heart raced, and a cold sweat broke out on her brow. They weren't alone. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall and menacing. It was Harold Grayson, a notorious real estate mogul known for his ruthless tactics and questionable dealings. Rumors swirled that he had ties to the underworld and was always one step ahead of the law. You shouldn't be here, he said, his voice low and gravelly as he stepped closer. In that moment, as her mind raced with thoughts of how to escape and protect her son, Angela understood. The stakes had risen. This discovery was more than just a potential fortune. It was a deadly game of survival, and she was determined to protect what was hers at any cost. Angela stood frozen in the dim light of the hidden basement, the weight of her recent discovery crashing down on her. The safe, thick with dust and secrecy, pulsated with the promise of an unimaginable fortune. But beyond the allure of wealth loomed a very real threat: Jamie, her estranged brother, who had always possessed a knack for manipulation and deceit. The glint in his eye when they last met, just days ago, sent chills down her spine. He wasn't simply interested in the inheritance. He was desperate to control it, and Angela could sense that desperation brewing into something more sinister. As she contemplated her next move, Angela felt an unsettling chill in the air, the silence of the basement amplifying her anxiety. The walls seemed to close in on her, whispering warnings of the danger that lurked above. She remembered the tales her mother had woven about the family legacy, stories of the speakeasy that thrived during the Prohibition era, a space where laughter and music once filled the air. But now it was a forgotten relic, a ghost of their past, much like the relationship she had with Jamie. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed from the stairs above, jolting Angela from her reverie. Panic surged through her veins. She had to hide the discovery before Jamie arrived. She quickly glanced around, her heart racing. The floor was littered with old bottles and crates, remnants of a life long gone. She darted behind a stack of decaying barrels just as the door creaked open. Angela? You down there? Jamie's voice was low and smooth, masking the underlying menace that always accompanied him. Angela swallowed hard, her breath hitching in her throat. She knew she had to think fast. There was no way she could confront him now, not without a plan. What do you want, Jamie? She called out, trying to inject steadiness into her voice. Just came to check on you, he replied, stepping cautiously down the stairs. The light from above cast long shadows that danced across the walls, giving him an almost ethereal quality. I was worried, about this place, all these old secrets. Could be dangerous. Dangerous indeed, Angela thought, but not in the way he intended. She held her breath, straining to hear every word as Jamie moved further into the basement. Did you find anything interesting? He asked, feigning nonchalance. The question hung in the air, palpable and charged. Angela could sense his curiosity, his urge to pry deeper into her thoughts. Just a bunch of junk, she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. Nothing worth your time. Really? Because I've been doing some digging, and I'm starting to think this place has a lot more to offer than you realize, he said, a sly grin spreading across his face. Angela's heart sank. What had he discovered? What do you mean? She probed, her mind racing. Oh, rumors about hidden treasures. It wouldn't hurt to have a family reunion, would it? His tone dripped with sarcasm, but there was a glint in his eyes that spelled trouble. She felt the tension coil within her. Jamie was toying with her, playing a dangerous game. Angela knew she had to keep him distracted while she formulated a plan. I think we should just sell this place and move on. It's too much for me to handle on my own, she suggested, keeping her voice calm. Sell it? And miss out on all the fun? Jamie chuckled darkly. I'd hate to think you were giving up on our family legacy so easily. Angela wanted to scream. This wasn't just a family legacy. It was her lifeline, her hope for a better future. But she couldn't let him see her vulnerability. Maybe you should just leave, Jamie, she insisted, her voice firm. You don't have a right to any of this. Anger flashed in Jamie's eyes. You think you can just make decisions without consulting me? I have as much right to this place as you do. Maybe even more, he spat, stepping closer. The air crackled with tension, and Angela could feel the walls of the basement closing in around her. She had to gain control. She had to outsmart him. I know about the bonds, Jamie. You don't want to play games with me? She said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. His expression shifted, a mixture of surprise and anger. What do you know? Enough to know you won't get away with this, she stated, trying to keep her voice steady. Jamie stepped back, his eyes narrowing. You're playing a dangerous game, Angela. I suggest you watch your back. With that, he turned on his heel and stormed out of the basement, the door slamming shut behind him. Angela exhaled deeply, her heart racing. She had a fleeting moment of victory, but the reality of the situation crashed back around her. Jamie was relentless, and he wouldn't stop until he got what he wanted. She rushed to the safe, her mind racing. If Jamie was onto her, she had to act swiftly. She tried to recall everything she had learned about the speakeasy and its hidden treasures. What if the bonds were not the only thing stashed away? Angela's eyes roamed the basement. There had to be more secrets hidden in the shadows, and she needed to find them before Jamie did. Summoning her resolve, Angela began to scour the basement for clues. Every inch of the space held potential. She pried open old crates and brushed away years of dust, searching for anything that could give her an edge. The stakes were higher than ever, and failure was not an option. She could feel Jamie's presence looming over her like a storm cloud, and she needed to be ready for the inevitable confrontation that awaited. As she rifled through the remnants of the past, a flicker of hope ignited within her. She would not let Jamie win. Not this time. She had a son to protect, and she would find a way to secure their future, no matter the cost. As the evening sky deepened into twilight, Angela stood in the dim light of the speakeasy, her heart pounding against her ribs. She had uncovered the secret of the hidden safe beneath the floorboards, revealing a treasure trove of bonds worth $345 million. Yet, with such fortune came the specter of danger, embodied by Jamie, a man whose greed had poisoned their lives and threatened the safety of her son. Jamie Jr. determined, Angela clenched her fists, resolutely facing Jamie, who had just entered the speakeasy with a confident swagger, his eyes glinting with that familiar mix of arrogance and entitlement. You think you can just keep everything for yourself, Angela? He sneered, stepping forward, the shadows of the room accentuating his threatening posture. That money belongs to both of us. We made this place together. No, Jamie, Angela replied, her voice steady, cutting through the tension like a knife. You may have been part of this once, but you've only brought chaos into our lives. I'm protecting my son, and that means shutting you out for good. Jamie's expression twisted, a mixture of rage and disbelief. You really think you can keep me from what's mine? You're nothing without me. You always have been. Maybe I was, Angela admitted, her voice softening for just a moment as memories of their shared past flooded her mind. But I'm not that woman anymore. I have someone I care about now, and I won't let you take that away from me. With that, she reached into her pocket and pulled out the small, torn photograph of her and Jamie Jr. at the beach. One of the few things that had remained untainted by their tumultuous relationship. She held it up, her eyes fierce. This is what matters to me, not the money, not you. I will fight to protect my son, even if it means facing you head-on. In an instant, Jamie's demeanor shifted from anger to desperation. You don't know what you're messing with, Angela. That money could change everything for us. Not if it means losing my child, Angela said, unwavering. You can't buy love, Jamie, and you can't control me anymore. The atmosphere crackled with unresolved tension as the two faced off, each unwilling to back down. But in that moment of confrontation, Angela saw something shift in Jamie's eyes, a flicker of vulnerability beneath the bravado. She took a step closer, her voice softening once more. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about what kind of life we want for Jamie Jr. Do you really want him to grow up in a world clouded by our mistakes? For a heartbeat, Jamie faltered, his fierce grip on his own selfish desires slipping. They stood there, suspended in time, the weight of their choices pressing heavily upon them. Finally, Jamie lowered his gaze, the fight draining from his posture. I just wanted to be part of something again. I thought maybe together we could do it right. Angela's heart softened, but she knew the danger that lingered behind his words. We can't go back to what we were, Jamie, but if you truly want to help, let's decide together what this place will become. No more lies, no more manipulation. Jamie nodded, the fire in his eyes extinguishing into something resembling understanding. All right, Angela, I'll step back, but I need to know I can trust you. With the weight of their history lingering in the air, they reached an unspoken agreement, a fragile truce forged in the face of their chaotic past. As the shadows receded, Angela felt a semblance of hope blossom in the depths of her heart. Hours later, as night deepened into silence, Angela and Jamie sat together in the speakeasy, poring over plans on how to transform the hidden bar into something meaningful. They discussed ways to honor the legacy of the place without repeating the mistakes of their past. It was a small step toward a brighter future, one where Angela felt secure enough to dream again. In the months that followed, Angela took control of the speakeasy's destiny, slowly turning it into a community hub where locals could come together, share stories, and find solace in one another. The family bond she had worked so hard to rebuild with Jamie Jr. flourished amidst the laughter and the warmth of newfound friendships. Jamie, for his part, became an unexpected ally, helping with the renovations and rekindling a sense of purpose in his life. As they all invested in the speakeasy, the reimagined space became a testament to their resilience. A vibrant bar filled with laughter, music, and hope. Angela saw Jamie changing, learning to put his selfish desires aside for the sake of a greater good. Years later, as Angela stood behind the bar, serving drinks to a lively crowd, she reflected on the journey she had taken. The speakeasy had become a cherished cornerstone of the community, and Jamie Jr. had grown into a young man filled with confidence and compassion, inspired by the lessons learned from a tumultuous past. In that moment, Angela recognized the power of healing and forgiveness. The shadows of their history no longer defined them. Instead, they had transformed their struggles into a foundation for future generations. And though there would always be remnants of their past, together they had built something far more precious than wealth, a family united in love and purpose. As the music swelled and laughter echoed through the speakeasy, Angela caught Jamie's eye across the room. He smiled, genuine and free of the darkness that once surrounded him. Together, they had turned a cursed inheritance into a sanctuary of strength, affirming that the greatest treasures were not those held in safes, but those found within the bonds of family and community.